Hello, hello. Thank you for joining us today. We're here to talk to you about how to simplify asset management automation with M365 and Teams. I'm Krista White. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Crow Canyon, and I'm joined today by Jeff Priest, our COO, and James Restivo, our VP of Product Development. And before we get into it, I've got a couple of housekeeping things I want to go over with you. First of all, we want this webinar to be interactive. We don't just want to talk at you, so don't be shy. Use that question box. Go ahead and plug those questions in as we go, and we'll make sure to get everything answered for you, or at the very least follow up afterwards if we get too flooded with questions. Also, this webinar will be recorded, so you can just enjoy, pay attention to the webinar. We will send out a replay if you've registered, and you'll get that tomorrow. And then lastly, this is going to be more of like a high-level overview of asset management. There's a lot of, we get excited about this, okay? So we could really go into like hours and hours of all the possibilities of everything, but we won't go into too far into the nitty-gritty today. We'll just keep it high level for you, and then if you'd like to book a one-on-one demo afterwards to really go over what it might look like or what you might need for your specific organization, we're here for you. Happy to do that. So our company, by the way, is Crow Canyon Software. We are the creators of Nitro Studio. We are a Microsoft preferred business application, and we're also a California certified small business. We're GSA certified as well. We've been around for 24 years, so we know a thing or two about how to handle this asset management stuff, and we do really enjoy this. So I'm excited to get into it. I'd like to go ahead and introduce you to Jeff here. Jeff, could you go ahead and tell everyone a little bit more about who we are and what we do?
For sure. Yeah, thanks so much, everybody who's joined. So I'll try to make this brief to give you a little bit more overview. If you know who we are, maybe you do have an idea of how we contribute to the community, providing applications that historically for us have been in the SharePoint space. And now with M365 coming on, we have a lot of focus on building applications in that environment as well. And when I say applications, what I want to do is kind of put this in kind of describe that in the sense that we have built a platform that we call Nitro Studio. And Nitro Studio is the underlying framework behind all of our applications that we build. It's a builder platform. We use it ourselves internally as well, but we also sell it as a standalone tool. I mean, if you think of products out there like, for example, Nintex or maybe Power Platform, other tools that are focused on building applications and business process automation, that's our Nitro Studio. So we won't talk about that in depth today, but again, just think of that as the underlying framework foundation that's the common denominator across all our applications. So the applications that we have here, you see business applications out of the box. We over the course of time, we've really kind of at the core 24 years ago started in the ticketing and help desk space. We've continued in that space, but over the course of time working with customers, they've come back and asked us to build other solutions as well. For example, purchase requests, asset management, we'll talk about that today, contract management, leave requests, if you think of a lot of things that are either request management systems, something that someone needs to ask for something, and or perhaps in this case, we're going to talk about tracking items like assets, and also the integration and connection from assets, and James will get into this, assets into, once we have a database of assets, we're tracking and managing those assets. What else in addition to that? Do we have work orders, or maybe it's connected to an IT help desk and there's IT assets, or maybe perhaps it's a facilities, assets in terms of equipment. It's connected to sort of a facilities management solution. So those are things that we've thought about, we've been asked about, and we built a number of use case products. You'll find those on our website. Another sort of, I think everybody and their dog now is talking about AI. It's been, a discussion, a topic of interest for quite some time. I think with the chat GPT and all the news around that, we now are focusing as well as building self-service AI-based solutions on top of ours as well, and that's where you'll find in our chatbots and other sort of Teams integration. Now, jumping into this, I think we'll just want to jump right into a show and tell with James. I mean, he's our resident expert. He's in charge of building our products, listening to feedback from customers, doing the due diligence and research as to what the competitive landscape looks like. I think that we'll see today, you'll be pleasantly surprised to see that it's a very comprehensive asset management solution that will run in your Microsoft environment. And there's a lot of advantages to that as well. So, without further ado, let's turn time over to James and he'll jump right in and show you all the good stuff.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Let's see, yeah, everyone can hear me. Okay, good. Let me make myself presenter and I'll share my screen so that you can see what we're talking about here with asset management in 365. So as Jeff was saying, this is a, move us out of the way. Hold on a second. There we go. So it's a full-featured asset management solution for running right within your Office 365 SharePoint environment. And if you need to track your assets, if you need to know where they are, who are they assigned to, what they cost, when they're out of service, all that stuff can be tracked through here through automated reminders, through information in the system. And then as Jeff was alluding to, there's also connections out to potentially other databases that could be like a land sweeper or an SCCM kind of tool to bring information in here. So there's a lot you can do with the asset tool, and a lot of people find it very effective for managing where their assets are and controlling that. Because you think about assets, it could be anything from a desk to a vehicle to a computer to a server. Varying degrees of costs there, but a lot of times it's going to be one of your most, other than your cost of people, it's going to be one of your highest costs of running a business is to maintain and control where your assets are. Replacing assets can be quite expensive. So if they pick up legs, the laptop grows legs and walks away, you're out that money for that laptop, and you need to go purchase another one. So that is the concern a lot of people have, and where the stuff is located, where it is, and how do I know where it is. So this asset tool can work across multiple locations. It could work across multiple departments. It could work for an IT department, or it could work for a facilities department. As Jeff alluded to, you could have a connection over to your work orders. We have a work orders tool as well that we sell that you can connect it into. And we also have our IT help desk tool, which we just revamped into our Nitro help desk tool, much more full featured. We won't talk about that today because we've done a couple webinars on that. And we'll certainly be doing more. But if you're interested, as Krista and Jeff mentioned, certainly reach out and get a one-on-one demo so you can see the full suite of things. But obviously today the focus is going to be on asset management, how you can manage that through Office 365 and through SharePoint and Teams. So what you're seeing on the screen right now, I assume everyone's seeing the dashboard here with the different tiles and different reports that we have available within the asset management tool. Being that it's based on Nitro Studio, you're going to have a lot of options here and a lot of control, really, a lot of flexibility in what you present here. So if you wanted to present your assets by location instead of an overarching view, or in addition to the overarching view, you could do that. You could add another tile group here that's going to show you assets in different locations, et cetera, et cetera. So you can add all that stuff into the tool as needed. So and we work with a lot of our customers to help make it specific to each of our customers' needs. But out of the box, it's got a lot of great flexibility, a lot of great features right there already. So you don't even have to modify it all that much, really, if you don't want to or don't need to. So you'll see here you have, first of all, your assets, how many are active, because you could have a number of decommissioned assets that are offloaded. If you're connected into an IT system, we're going to pull into software as well. So that helps control or gives you governance over your software licenses and how many licenses you purchased. I'll go into all this in a little more detail as we go through, but just kind of give you a quick overview. You got your software, you got tasks related to your assets. So if you're managing all the maintenance tasks through the asset solution directly, you could do that, but you could also connect it over to work orders or IT help desk. And you can see there's also open tasks over here. Those tasks are mainly related to preventative maintenance, planned preventative maintenance, which I'll show you that piece as well. on the asset form itself, if you want to go input a new asset, well, we can get the assets in here in a couple different ways. If you wanted to connect it into a SCCM or a land sweeper network sweeping tool, you could do that. That'll bring it all in here. You want to do a data dump from an Excel file, we can do that too. Or you can manually add the information in here. Each asset is going to have a unique identifier. You give it some title, you can put some description around it. And then we have this asset type feature, which is really great because you can see there's some pre-selected options here where you can select it and you can see it's already filling out some of the information for you. So that helps with expediting entry of the asset. Especially if you're doing it manually, you have a asset type that you can drop down and select and have it pre-populate some information for you. And that can pre-populate as much or as little information as you need it to. That asset type feature could also drive your maintenance schedule. So you can connect it into a calendar item, and all assets with that asset type will get, every month we'll have a task created to service it. You also have some categories here. You can see we've got mostly IT related categories here, but as mentioned, you can have it related to more physical equipment, machinery, vehicles, and whatnot. So you can change up those categories as well. You got an indicator, whether it's in service, being purchased, whether it was sold or decommissioned. You can track all that in here. So rather than deleting it out, you could simply mark it as sold or decommissioned, and that way have a record of what happened to that asset down the line. Of course, you got your make, model, and model number. Serial number is going to be specific. We have some barcoding connections in here as well, so you could even blip a barcode or even do some barcode search to pull up assets. And we've done a lot of work with customers to, blip a barcode and have it go into a field and either look up or create a new asset. So that's something we've looked at as well for getting assets into the system. And then you got some, different kind of service types and contract service dates, which are related to your contracts. And then the big thing here is location. So as I mentioned, you want to know where your assets are located and where you can find them. So you can see this has an assign to field. So that could be your individual employee. Again, because it's a SharePoint-based solution, you have a connection or native connection over to your Active Directory. So you could go in here and add a user from your Active Directory. So you've got that connection already. And now John Smith is the person who owns this. They're located in Boston, and we have multiple buildings in Boston, so they're in building 2 in Boston. So now you can know where that is. You can mark it as being in the IT department, perhaps, or even get down to the room. And a lot of this is metadata that you can add into the system. If you don't see the field you need in here, we can always add it in. So we can make those adjustments. On the finance tab, you're going to have information about the financials. Who did you buy it from? When did you get it? When was it decommissioned, if it was decommissioned? You can track depreciation. So you have some calculations in there. So you could do straight line depreciation or some other type of depreciation method that will indicate what's the current value of the asset versus what it was when you purchased it. And you can track those costs over time. So it really gives you a way to manage and track that information as far as what are my assets costing me from a, not only sunk cost value as far as what it's going to take to replace it versus what is it going to take, how much is it costing me to maintain this asset. At a certain point in time, it's going to trip over into maintenance is going to be higher cost to you than it is to replace the asset. So you can track that and get some of that information from in here directly. When was it purchased, which could be different from when it was acquired, like purchase it today, but might not come in for another month. So that there could be differentiation there. And then, when was it sold, if it was sold, and what date you wanted to use for depreciation. So I got that information in there. We have an image field. So if you wanted to see what that image looks like, or see what the asset looks like, we can link it over to an image. You can see this one's going out to the internet somewhere. And when I pull this up in display mode, I'll show you in just a minute, it'll show the actual image of the asset. So that can be helpful for maintenance, especially if you got a new maintenance technician and they don't know what the asset looks like, or they want to see specifically, it's this model versus that model. You can have that image in there to help them see that. You have your maintenance schedule here, so you can enable a maintenance to have it tracked on again, it could be monthly, could be weekly, could be yearly, whatever cadence you need for that asset. And again, it could be tied to that asset type field. you can have a maintenance schedule on there. It's going to create a task. You can assign it automatically to an individual, or you can come in here and manually assign it to an individual. And then it's going to have a due date around it. So you obviously want that task to be done at a certain point in time. So you got that information in here to track when is it due. You can have automated reminders go out about that, like, hey, you need to get this task done to maintain this particular piece of equipment or this group of equipment. So that information can all be done through here. And then alluding back to the fact that you connect it over to an IT help desk or a work order system, you can have related tickets. So really that maintenance can be done independently within this tool directly, or it could be connected over to an external system. Either way is going to work, and it's going to be the same principle. You're creating a ticket or creating a task on a regular schedule, regular cadence that you determine, and the system automates it, creates it, notifies the right people that it's there, needs to be done, and you can go and do it. So that it gives you that tracking ability to make sure you're not missing maintenance. You didn't skip a maintenance piece. And then you come over to the related items where you can see how all this stuff is connected together with manuals and warranties and contracts. All this can be uploaded into the system. You can have one manual for multiple pieces of equipment or assets. You can have one warranty, it's one contract. So you're really just relating this particular asset record or equipment record to that particular manual or to that particular warranty. And that gives you the information you need as to how do I service this equipment through the manual. When does a contract expire for this? Is there a support contract related to it? Let's say it's a piece of software and you have a support contract that goes for a year or 2 years or 3 years. You want to know when that expiration actually occurs. You can see that in here. Then I'll talk about contracts a little bit more in depth in a minute. We also have this related inventory where you can track an inventory item connected to the piece of equipment. And then you can also associate other assets with it, and that would allow you to connect multiple pieces of equipment together and multiple assets together. And obviously we fixed this typo here. I do see it, unfortunately. We'll get that typo fixed. It's very easy to fix that stuff, and that's the beauty of this tool. There's some things hard-coded, but not a lot of it is super hard-coded. So something like that is a very simple fix. If you want to add a new field in here, it's a very simple fix. So really it speaks to the flexibility. I think someone came in here probably during a demo and just threw that on there quickly and said, hey, I want to show associated assets. But it does show you that you can connect this piece of equipment or this asset to multiple other assets to give you that, give you that connection across your assets to almost like a CMDB in a sense. And then you enter the information, you save it, now you have that record, and it's there for you to refer back to whenever you need to. Now, as you go along, you might want to check out an asset if it's something that's on a, something that you might want to check out on to a particular individual for a period of time. Maybe they're taking a laptop to a conference or something like that. So you want to make sure you check it out. And the checkout time could really be anywhere from a week, a day, or it could be as long as multiple years. So you could check out the asset and say, okay, instead of, instead of, I was going to this conference for a week, you say, oh, this is what was assigned to Joe Schmo for the next 3 years. And we know we got to replace it in 3 years because it's a laptop, maybe replace it every 3 to 5 years. And then you have that checkout a period. So you can check it out. You see this is a checked out asset. So you have the option to check it in. So if we go ahead and do that, this asset was checked out at some point in time. We're going to check it back in, and it runs this little process, and you can say, give it a comment like in good working condition, for instance. Get that in there, and that's going to update the asset history. You'll see this is going to refresh, and it's going to show me not only the check and check out record, but it's going to change that option to check out. So now you can see it was checked out to Ryan Stefani. It was checked out back in March, and it was checked in today. So it looked at today's date and recorded that information. But when you go to check it out, just to show that piece of it, you can, it'll pull up this information. You're going to say it's checked out to John Smith. We expect it back on the 16th because he's just going for a weekend conference, and he'll be back on Tuesday. And you put some comments in there if you want, and you can hit that OK. Now you can track when you expect those records to come back into your, into your office, into your inventory, essentially. So you got that checkout, check-in process on there, which is pretty nice. You can, it's just to look at the front page here for a little bit. You got the expired warranties where you can see your warranties that have expired, your warranties that are expiring in number of days, et cetera, overdue tasks overdue in 7 days. So a lot of good information in here that you can click around and take a look at and get the info on. As I alluded to, there's a option when you're using like an SCCM or a Landsweeper type of integration, you could pull in the software assets related to your computer hardware. So you got your hardware assets over in one list, you got your software assets, and now you can track your licensing. You can track how many licenses are spoken for, how many are being in use, and how many have expired, how many are not in use yet. So in out of compliance would mean you've got more licenses in use than you have purchased. So you want to track how the licenses you've purchased and make sure that users aren't pirating software or using a license that you didn't pay for, or something of that nature. So you can kind of get a sense of all that. Where is the software located? What asset is it related to? And not only that, but also what licenses are available. So you can see all your different your software options on here. And you got some versions, got the status of active and inactive. And you can see what's available, what's not available as far as these assets. You see all these are available, have more licenses purchased than are actually in use. And you can see that you can go through and take a look at something like this this line item here. We've purchased 31 licenses. We're only using one, probably because it was a test system, or maybe you purchased another company that were using Linux, but you're not using it anymore. So you want to make that, perhaps make 30 of those licenses inactive, or all 31. So it just gives you a way to control your costs and govern your costs with the assets and with the software that you've purchased. So got a lot of good information here about all that stuff. Of course, your vendors or who you purchase from for your assets. Within this, you have a report center where we've put some of those reports on the page, on the front page that you saw, but we also have other types of reports here, like assets by category, assets by department, assets by location, so you can see where they're located, assets by service type, by status, by vendor. So a lot of good information here, a lot of good reports that you can pull from and take a look at what's going on with your asset database, and you can manage and create new reports or adjust the existing reports as needed. So a lot of flexibility here. Contracts, let's talk about contracts for a little bit. So you can have these contracts in there. You have a software contract or service contract or something of that nature. You want to track, when does it expire? Is there an invoice number related to it? Who's the responsible person? What's the start date? What's the end date? What's the value? All that information can be tracked in this contracts list with automated notifications. So if your contracts are coming up for expiration, you want that responsible person to know about it. You're going to have a notification through our Nitro workflow tool. You're going to have a notification that goes out 90 days before, 180 days before, 30 days before, all the above. It could send out notifications on that cadence until that license is, or the contract is renewed. And then of course you come in here and make that update and say this, it's updated. But you can see from here are the documents and then assets. Of course, this could be multiple assets. There just happens to be one related to this particular contract, but you can certainly have more assets here as needed. And you can always add more documents as needed. Then we got the contracts. You can always create a new contract and add that in here, just kind of go and pop it in. And then your contract documents could be upload of your actual physical, physical or PDF document that you have on file. So just come in here, load it in here, and it gets that document in there. Looks like we have this inventory piece where you can, this is the inventory part we're talking about, where you have a part, where to come from, what's the cost, how much do you have in quantity. So you have some workflows around this as well, so you can track how your usage of inventory within the asset management tool as well. So quite a lot there from the from the usability perspective and ease of tracking, ease of maintenance. It's really about governing your assets. It's really about seeing where they are, seeing how much they're costing you, and seeing who's responsible for them ultimately. And so you don't, like I said, you don't have assets growing legs and walking away. You know, who's the last person to check it out, who's the last person to own it. You can go, find out what's going on with that asset. But the other thing too is you can search your assets. So if you ever wanted to get a listing of all your like Dell Inspirons, you could do a search. Dell, let me do Dell here. Maybe searching on a particular field. Within this search box, you have options to change what it's searching for, what it's searching on. So you can see there's some, just kind of take a look at what it's looking at. It's only looking at the assigned to field. Okay, so it's looking at assigned to. All right, so we need to see all assets related to John. But you can see how easy it is to change that. If you wanted to look at, right, maybe John doesn't have any, Ryan. Oh, why is this not working? Sorry about that. Ryan Stefani, maybe have to type out the whole thing. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I had to type it all out. But searching on this assigned to field and pulling back all the assets related to Ryan Stefani. And that's great for scenarios where you're trying to, unfortunately, maybe someone's retiring or someone's being terminated. You need to know what assets they have, they're responsible for. So this gives you a way to see that. Or if it just in general, you want to see, okay, how many iPhones have we assigned to Ryan over the course of time? Because maybe he keeps breaking them for some reason. Not to pick on Ryan too much, but he's a great guy. But maybe he's breaking the iPhones all the time. So you want to be able to see that kind of information in here. But certainly, you could change up the search parameters very easily, and this would be done by administrators. This wouldn't be done necessarily by your common user, but your administrator could come in here and change the search parameters to say, I want to search for not just assigned to, but maybe everything. So if you leave that blank, it'll just search all fields, and that's fine. We'll go ahead and save that. It's going to refresh the page, which might take a minute, and then it's going to allow me to search. Type in that text Inspiron. And look at that, within seconds, I've changed the parameters of the search, and now you can get some more information about, from the system. And I love the search tool also because it really gives you a way to control what you're looking for. You can do an export to Excel from this, which is in the settings file as well. We have these save filters, like this is just looking for me apparently. And then we could also change those filters as well. So, assigned to equals change receivo. So we could change that, delete that filter, change that filter, and have a robust condition builder in here. So you could really get down to the nitty gritty of what do I want to search for. It's way better than SharePoint search in the sense that you're not just pulling back a fire hose of information of everything that matches that particular term. You can really target what you're searching for. I love that searching tool. Yeah, so how does this all relate over to Microsoft Teams? Well, a lot of this can be managed. You can show the asset management tool through Teams as well. So we could take these pages and put them right into the Teams environment. You can have a search bar for searching assets. We also have our Nitro Engage bot, which could have commands that will go and search through your assets, similar to what this searching tool is doing, but you just pull up the information within Teams itself to bring it back. So you can put that as part of your IT team. You can put that as part of your facilities team, whatever team that might be using this asset management tool. You can take a look at that and bring that information into the Teams channel, into the Teams conversation, whatever it is. So you can bring that information in there. I don't think I have it quite set up for Teams today, Jeff. I don't know. Do you know if we have this set up for Teams somewhere? I didn't have this set up for that. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah. So I don't think we have that set up in a demo right now that we were prepared to showcase here that we can pull up on the fly. But yeah, I think to answer the question about integration is yes, certainly there's an opportunity to integrate with Teams. And I guess for the sake of, someone asked, the obvious question is another question that came through is around pricing.
Yeah.
I think that you'll find most software companies out there, or any company for that matter, you ask about pricing, they're like, call us, fill out a form, let's talk. So I think for us, we have the pricing pretty well laid out on the website. This particular application starts at, depending on what you want to do, level of integration, configurations, customizations, but starting at $299 a month for an organization. So that's roughly, $3,500 and $3,600 a year for the asset management program. And then it just kind of depends on what you want to do. And that's where a conversation becomes very critical, that just kind of us understanding is it a simple, asset management requirement, or is there complexities? Is there, integrations with any other types of applications, et cetera? But we'd love to have that conversation with you and dive into, your needs. But that's the starting point to answer the question regarding pricing as well.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. That's good. Yeah, so that's you can see it's a economical, affordable. I mean, you're gonna you probably have assets that are worth 3 times, 4 times, 5 times or more of that cost, and if that you save the loss of one of those assets, you've more than paid for the tool itself. And as Jeff was alluding to, there could be some setup services as well that we put in there, some training services as well, which really just be upfront costs that wouldn't carry forward necessarily. But you can see it's a really affordable way to track these assets that you don't want to lose sight of. And within that, I mean, it's embedded in SharePoint, it's embedded in 365, so you've got all the benefits of not only the Nitro Studio tool set that comes kind of underlies the whole setup here with the forms and the workflows and the reports and the certain web parts we have. But you also could leverage your Power BI, or you can leverage some of the other tools that Microsoft offers to connect into this as well. Connections over to SQL, connections over to other tool sets. That's all possible with this. I mean, within our workflow tool itself, we have connections where you can connect over to APIs, you can connect over to web services. You could, like I said, there's a data sync connector we can add in here that we could, if you need to connect over to an SCCM or to a land sweeper to pull information in. So we've got those connectors already in there that can be activated for those different types of tools out there. And then, like I said, if you need to bring stuff in from a database, we could take a look at doing that. Or if you need to just dump a load of assets from an Excel file, we can do that. So, it's all very flexible. It really depends on, your needs. Every organization is a little bit different, of course, with what their needs are. So that's why, we make it really as full featured as it is. It still has flexibility and still has ability to add more to it. So it's going to not just give you a great tool to work from day one, but also give you a great tool that can grow with you as you need more features, more automation, more workflows, more notifications. All that can be done, more reports, all that can be done and added on through here, a lot of it through Nitro Studio itself. So we'd love to have a conversation with you about what you need, what you want to accomplish, what your challenges are with software they have out there. We're certainly open to it. One thing that comes up, and I'll just mention it because it is a SharePoint-based tool. There's this list view limitation that you come up with sometimes of 5,000, and that doesn't mean you can only have 5,000 assets in here. I just want to be very clear about that. We've built ways that you get around that very easily. You can track a lot more assets in here. We have people tracking 60,000, 70,000 assets through this tool, no problem. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that even though it is a SharePoint tool, you might hear that from someone, we've worked around that limitation in various ways. So should be no issues there when it comes to that. But yeah, that pretty much covers the feature set, the tool set. I mean, I could spend a lot more time going through Nitro Studio in detail. I could spend a lot of time going through workflow, setting all that stuff up, the administration. I think for your purposes, hopefully this gives you what you need to evaluate the tool and take a look at it as put it at least as your an option to consider. If there's anything else you want to see, certainly pop it into the box. I mean, there's a breadth of things I probably couldn't cover in this time we've had today on the webinar, but if you have anything you want to see or any feature you're looking for, pop it in the questions box or give us a call. We'll set up a conversation to talk about that.
So James, real quick, if you don't mind jumping in a second, and we talked a little bit more earlier on about this concept of return on investment, like, well, like if you had one laptop that disappeared that was $1,000, what does that mean to the organization? One of the things that we've found in a plethora of discussions we've had across multiple clients, different verticals over the years is, especially for, we know that there's a competitive landscape out there for assets, asset tracking, asset management, But for what we do and what most companies are looking for is, one is a comprehensive tool. I think that our tool we built that comes from a lot of feedback, a lot of conversations, a lot of requirements gathering from different customers. We built this into the tool. But primarily, I think what the customers, main objectives are, it's just, what do I have? Like we don't even actually know what we have, or maybe where it's at, or we have to go visit this spreadsheet and kind of go and try to find these things. It's not in a system that I can easily search and pull up. I can associate items, for example. I can associate a number of assets with an individual. If there's an asset perhaps at some point that we need to take some action on, we have the request management ticketing solution that pairs with this nicely. So whether it's work orders, you're out in the field and you have some piece of equipment that's on a maintenance schedule, there's a work order, it gets created, it gets assigned to a technician, and they go out there and they update the information within the assets. Do these assets have contracts on them? Do they have service contracts, warranties? All this information is a lot of information around assets. A lot of times people don't consider. So you purchase, 10, 15, 20 laptops a year for new employees. Year one, something happens with that. Where is the warranty? Where do you find it? Where do you search for that? Is it in a file cabinet somewhere, or do we not know? So this becomes a formalized way in which people can track assets, but track all the details of the assets beyond just what it is. I think from a budgeting perspective as well, we do a lot of work on the service desk side. So we have a program that, that's an integrated, assets with IT help desk or with another formal sort of ticketing solution is, when you're looking at assets in that way, there is a budgeting component as well to say what assets are set to expire, quote unquote expire, or end of life. What do we have to come, for example, if it's we do a lot of work with a number of retirement homes around the world. And a lot of these retirement homes, in particular, Australia, the country of Australia, there's a region there that they are mandated by government for the retirement centers to track all the assets for multiple reasons. But that said, it's really trying to understand, do I maintain this? Do I fix it, or do I replace it? And that comes from all the history, and it's really difficult to put that in a spreadsheet and track it. So we found that the common theme amongst all of our customers is to, one, get it all in a system, get it organized in such a way where you can start gleaning some intel from that, not just simply knowing what it is, but there's a lot of actionable items that can come out of the system. So the ROI on this is very clear in that, one is your ability to manage your assets, but the other is lost assets. That's a very common thing amongst our customers, and I just don't know where they are. And that could add up to a significant dollar amount as well. So these are things that our customers come to us, they talk to us about, they think about as they're building this out, coming from a very simple format like a spreadsheet, to something like this it's a major leap, and it's something that's incredibly helpful. So hopefully that just helps you understand if you fall in that category, we'd love to talk to you in more depth, love to showcase our products and how they align with your requirements. And so please feel free, you're going to get a copy and email of this recording, but feel free to reach out to us and request a demo.
And one more thing, just before, I think we got a couple more things to show here. Someone has a question about barcoding, and I wanted to bring up this connection to my mobile phone. You can see it's got this mobile, you can connect into it from your mobile device, and you can see that there's this barcode field right here. When you click that, you can see this is my actual messy desk. I apologize. I should have cleaned it up a little bit. But you see it's my actual, the actual camera on my actual phone. And you just simply put a barcode in there, and it'll blip it in there. That would allow you to enter it. You could do that with the search field. Let me cancel that. If you go to that search field, I think you can bring in the barcode in there as well. Let me just take a look. And if not, I think we can add that pretty easily. But that's kind of I wanted to show that because someone was asking about barcoding. I wanted to make sure I showed that there is that connection over to your mobile device, mobile camera. So we do have that. We're showing everything on the desktop today, but it is mobile friendly, mobile ready, and good to go there. So we certainly certainly have that forward thinking piece of it. And I think Jeff alluded to just briefly, we do have connections over. We got our eye on the AI space. How is that going to impact what we're doing here with our tool? We're going full force into it. We're a little more than dipping our toes. We're going full force into the ChatGPT AI world. So we're going to see how that can integrate and interact with this as well. So we're just constantly innovating, constantly moving, constantly adding features. It's just want to make sure I add that point, is that it's not just set and forget. We're constantly adding new things. So yeah, just want to make that point.
Yeah, I think that any type of RFID, barcode, that's been, we've been having that discussion for a long time, and that's a pretty, again, a major jump from where people are, where they have they have assets but no way to formally track them. But then, of course, the barcoding, the field technician out there going out and just simply clicking the barcode, bringing up the asset record, and be able to work. It's really more of just ease of use and streamlining the process. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, super. Thanks, James. Thanks so much for that demo. And anybody on this webinar post, we'd love to have the discussion. It could be as quick as 30 minutes, kind of going through this, or we can go a full-blown in-depth discussion for an hour or more. But there's a lot. Every customer is different, and I don't think we have one customer that's the same. They come and they have very unique needs. So I'm assuming you have unique needs as well. So please reach out and let's talk.
Yeah, Chris, I just made you presenter again so you can show the final slides here.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks, guys. James, I always get excited. I know I've seen this so many times, but every time you show a demo of our asset management tool, my mind just kind of gets spinning, like all the things you can do with it. So really appreciate you sharing that with all of us today.
Sure, my pleasure.
Yeah, and like Jeff said, everyone, you can reach out to us, go ahead and get your demo so we can actually address your unique needs. You can shoot us an email, hello@crowcanyon.com. Give us a call. You can go to our website. I will be following up tomorrow with the recording, and you can, of course, reply to that as well. But we're here to help. We get excited about this. We have fun with it. And there's, as you can hopefully get a little bit of a taste from today, there's a lot you can do with it. And certainly a huge leap from using a spreadsheet or, even worse, word of mouth. Did you get that laptop back from Joe? I think so. I don't know, So here and happy to help. Thanks everyone for joining us today, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon.
All right, awesome. Thank you all.